Joining us right now is Mick Mulvaney. Of course, he's the former White House Chief of Staff to President Trump. And Mick, it's good to see you. What do you think, first of all, on the Moderna news and what this signals for the economy?
I think it's great. So you take what you find today, and then you layer it on top of what we saw over the course of the last couple of weeks. I think a lot of folks, not on this program, but nationwide, sort of missed out on that economic data that came out in the weeks before the election because everybody was following the election. So you had the huge blowout GDP numbers, and then you had the great unemployment numbers. So you start to layer these things in, and I think more and more folks are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I'd agree, and I certainly think there is incredible news coming from both Moderna and Pfizer on this, but that tunnel could be pretty dark before we get to the other side of it. There's the case count rising. There's a lot of things that are going on, and probably a lot more economic strain beneath the surface of some of those very good numbers that we've seen.
There is. At the same time, I think lawmakers are probably looking at some of those numbers and looking at the information about the vaccine and asking themselves, okay, when we finally do start talking policy again and stop talking politics and we get back to the stimulus, are we really going to be interested in something that's a blowout kind of number, or are we going to look at something that's a little bit more targeted? Because I think you're right. There's strain under the surface, but that strain is felt more acutely in certain segments, most particularly, of course, the hospitality, travel industries, and so forth. So I think as policymakers start to get back to being policymakers, they may start thinking more about a targeted approach as opposed to just a massive blanket stimulus when Washington gets back to business.
When will they get back to business? You think that's going to happen in the lame duck, or any chance that there's some sort of stimulus package passed? Because you're up against a pretty tight calendar legislatively right now.
You absolutely are. And I think there's one of the places where folks are looking at the presidential election as driving sort of the narrative, and that's probably not what is happening. What I think is getting all of Washington's attention right now are those two races down in Georgia, because they're so determinative of the next 2 to 4 years, that if the Republicans control the Senate, we go down one path. If the Democrats control the Senate, we go down another. So I think that is what's really preventing them from getting back to business from a policy perspective. Democrats are looking their hand over going, well, maybe if we control the Senate, we're better off waiting. Republicans were never that big a fan in the Senate of a larger stimulus bill. So they may be saying, well, we'll wait and see what kind of control we have in January. So I guess is that Georgia Senate race is probably driving this as much as anything.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.